Mi hija nehinkam, hello relatives. Netwanya netina, komikrabet naha tongve, koi yoeme, koi mitskanakan. My name is Tina Arduna Calderon. I am Gabrielino Tongva, Yaqui, and Ventureño Chumash. I wish koneha guavo mane tehovetamet. I'm so happy to be here with you all this beautiful day. Thank you also to the Elysian Valley Art Collective for inviting me to open the Frogtown Artwalk in a good way. And we begin with a land acknowledgement to honor my tribal relatives, past and present, the traditional caretakers of Tawanga. Across our large unceded territory, we continue our efforts to protect our lands, our waters, and our plant and animal relatives. So we say, Yarar como krehanuk betam, we remember the ancestors. Awesh kondreha, ahihirom koi hianayanar. We thank our elders and our teachers. Garukanakre eyotarhem, we stand with our children, both present and the 7 generations to come. Let us remember to walk gently upon our Earth Mother, to give her love and respect as she deserves, and let us unlearn the selfish and harmful ways.
Hello, welcome to the Frogtown Artwalk 2020, rebranded this year as the Art of Frogtown. It's our new virtual adventure. We're taking the Artwalk online this year, and we thank you for joining us. I am the president of the Elysian Valley Arts Collective, the nonprofit that funds and organizes the Artwalk. I'm joined by my fellow board members, Patricia Perez, vice president, Edwina Dedlow, secretary, Alan Anderson, treasurer, David Dedlow, Damien Robledo, Chaz Kern, and Tara Golden. Thank you for joining us.
Meiha, Oesh Koneha Ikoaha, Nitwanya Ne Kelly Caballero. Hello, I'm so happy that you are here. My name is Kelly Caballero. I'm Tongva from the Los Angeles Basin. I'm a singer, songwriter, and poet, and today here at the Los Angeles River, I'm going to share some poems for you. This poem that I'm going to start with was actually written by a river, and especially in this area, there should be so much more natural space and trees and life and birds. And for me, that image, I'm gonna create that image for you. Imagine this place at night. Imagine it centuries ago. Imagine it as it was when it was first created. This is titled Orchestra of Night. The moon rises, drawing daylight's curtain, revealing an audience of stars. Witness, the conductor of the orchestra of night. It begins. Dusk's breath sweeps through the tall grass. Sweet dewy earth is in the air. The rushing of leaves, a prelude to the symphony of crickets, bowing a melody centuries old. The river frogs bellow, resounding from near and far, hushed only by the percussion of rabbits in the sagebrush. Bring me to tears, the coyotes crescendo. The river hums, from the trees the nightbird sings. The valley succumbs. Rapture under silver moonlight. The orchestra fades. Silence, stillness. The nightshade blooms. A standing ovation for the orchestra of night.
This is a poem written by Lewis McAdams. It's called The First Los Angeles River Art Walk. We gathered in the dust next to the First Street warehouse and pasted Friends of the Los Angeles River bumper stickers on each other's backs. There must have been 25 of us. There was no press except for high performance, the New Testament of performance art. We climbed down the bank and walked upstream. Keith Levine made a tape to move us, industrial music cut with reggae. The big bass bounced off the concrete walls from the box Keith pushed along in front of him in a wheelbarrow. We had to carry our friend, the Dark Bob, who was wearing flip-flops across the meandering rivulets of slime. The river's only green until we reached the scene, where the concrete ends and the red-winged blackbirds begin to sing to the citizens of Frogtown. Lewis McAdams. Cool. All right, well, my name's Alan Anderson. I am the partner of Tracy Stone, the brainchild of the Frogtown Artwalk. A lot of people were involved in coming up with this thing. The result was that we went from 200 people wandering around trying to find art on a dark street in Frogtown 12 years ago to something close to 6,000 people in 2018. This year is new.
Hi, my name is Marcus Lutchins, and I am very happy and proud to be part of the artwork, Frogtown Artwalk, and also thanks to Spoke for hosting us. We're working on the Rose River Memorial Project, which is a COVID memorial for those who've died from COVID over the last 8 months, and probably, unfortunately, in the coming months. And the project consists of making about 220,000 roses or more.
Hi, my name is Ceci Dominguez, and I live in Elysian Valley. I have lived here probably around 48 years, and I love this community. We have the best of both worlds here. We're close to downtown LA, the city, and yet look around us. We have the hills of Elysian Valley, Griffith Park, and of course the great LA River. Second part is, of course, our neighbors, our community. Most of us are many generations here. We know family upon family, so that's the best part of Elysian Valley.
My name is Jose Campos. I live in Frogtown exactly for 52 and a half years. But altogether, I've been in this neighborhood since 1964. My first job when I came from Mexico was at the end of Denby, Yaquan Ceramics. I came to the neighborhood, I fell in love with the neighborhood. When I got married in 1968, I made this neighborhood my house. And since, I'm still here, but this neighborhood's beautiful. I love this neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Steve Graziani. I've been down here in the Frogtown area for quite a while. I had a house up on the top of the hill back from 85 to 2010, but I had a studio down here doing sculptures. I started doing the etchings to go along with short stories I write, because I write horror stories as well. And the etchings at first went to go with the stories, then the etchings became a thing that actually took over, and they became stories themselves. Basically what you have to do when you're doing etchings is you do all that. This is about 14 different burns. Some of them are as much as 5 seconds, some of them are like 2 minutes. Each one burns a little bit more on there to get the coloration I want. Here's an example. The lines come from scratching a line into hard ground. That creates your lines in the drawing. Then when you want to create gray tones, you go ahead and paint in what's called asphaltum. Now, when you burn, it will burn the area that's not painted. So it, grays it. So here's a plate that has already been inked. We'll press. I'm not being as clean as I should be because of this. That's the reason it's so frustrating that people thought etchings were prints that somebody else printed for you, because each one of these is a limited number edition and each one is pulled. And I think about 1 out of every, or 2 out of every 3 of mine come out savable. I throw away 1 out of every 3 at least. You get it a little slightly damp. Put on the press. Use pen on it. And then you crank it down through. I'm not guaranteeing how this one's going to come out, but but you're putting it through a very high pressure press that's coming down with 3 blankets, so it's squeezing it down into every little groove. That one came up pretty good.
All right. Wow. That's great.
It's called Nature Bites Back.
Nice.
One of the few that I do for. Normally my etchings go into the territory of staying with horror films or horror stories and all that. But with the pandemic that's happened, some of my etchings have come out talking about the current day.
Hi, my name is Justine Hernandez, and I am owner and operator of Just What I Needed vegan bakery here in Frogtown. We're definitely known for our cinnamon rolls and our tomato basil galettes. It's really nice to be part of a community that is totally embracing vegan stuff. You guys caught me decorating a cake. Got some olive oil cake, cream cheese frosting, fresh strawberries, adding some fresh flowers that are edible. It's been really great to kind of grow with the community and meet everybody. And I think initially, everyone's kind of weary of new businesses. You never know what you're going to get. And I think that people are really seeing we really are a small business, woman-owned, Hispanic, Latina-owned, and they've really embraced us with open arms.
We are Elysian Valley. We are Frogtown.
Welcome to Plan D Gallery. I'm Edwina Dedlow, and this is my husband, David Dedlow.
I'm the artist, and she's the gallerist. This is my most recent work, which uses natural material along with the same elements of balance and weight. So if this was to be taken off, the whole piece changes because it's in balance. Here you get an idea of how I use color in all of my work, but it also suggests why I have to have them demountable, because I put together the formal aspects, but I work on the color after the fact. So I have to take all the parts apart and put them back together. My materials are often semi-found objects. I had a manufacturing business for 37 years here in Frogtown, and it included the ability to manufacture in metal, wood, plastic, and glass. So I had all those media available to me. Now I was using them in the manufacturing of the picture frames we made for, like I say, for quite a few decades. And there's a lot of leftover materials. So I use what's on hand And I suppose at some point I'm going to run out of material. I might have to buy something.
I'm the director and CEO of First Impression along with my daughter, Jazelyn Mejia. We have been here with First Impression in Frogtown, Elysian Valley, since 2010. We began this company back in 1999 out of Alessandro Elementary School in a neighborhood school. Born and raised here in Frogtown and Elysian Valley. A lot of our coaches here are former students and now amazing coaches, very dedicated, very devoted. We always have our doors open to all the students, all the kids, whether in our community or any other community, as long as they have the will to learn and want to learn, we're here to teach.
Hi guys, my name is Peter Lemos. I'm one of the owners, along with my wife Lauren, of Wax Paper here in Frogtown, corner of Knox and Blake.
Pleasure to meet you. I'm Isabel. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to the back entrance of the tiny shop of Wax Paper. This is the back entrance here, through the door. You can see it's a tiny kitchen. Maybe we'll have you guys come inside for a little bit just to see how small it is. So, fortunately we do have such a great crew here that's able to, and given the pandemic, we've been able to keep everybody distant and we've been able to adapt. We were mostly to go anyway. We didn't have a big dining room. We didn't have a large staff. A lot of those things that other restaurants are unfortunately having to deal with right now. So the transition into, we've just sort of been instead of having 10 people on the patio, we just have all to go now. So again, we feel extremely fortunate to be able to continue as we have in the pandemic. Sandwiches, salads, sides. Our sandwiches are named after public radio hosts. So we have the Ira Glass, the Terry Gross, Audie Cornish, Lakshmi Singh is a sandwich. And that was just another funny idea. It just, I think, speaks to the humor that Lauren and I want to include in the business.
Hello, my name is Oliver Nolan. I'm a neon artist living here in Frogtown. And this piece here, if you look at it, I'm gonna leave it blank for you, but you can see it and you'll realize that it's about lightning. And it's a beautiful thing. I think lightning is fantastic. And then this piece is called Still in Candy, and it reminds me of candy because of the surface and the lights. And then this is a lollipop at the top. Come on with me, we'll go into my studio. This is my studio. It's small, but it's adequate for me. I can do pieces of 8 feet down to what you see behind me. This piece here, and I call that the LA River. And you can see all the things about the river that I've noticed in the last 15, 20 years. So you can see that my pieces are diverse. I talk about a lot of different things in them. I have pieces I dealt with Vietnam when I was in the service. So it's an experience of my life, what I see in front of me, what's out in the world in front of me, and then try to create that feeling again.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Virtual Art Walk and the Art of Pickling. I'm Greg Krugerman. My brother and myself, we run this company. It's the Krugerman Pickle Company. We're on Gilroy. You probably passed by here. You've probably seen us out in the yard driving the forklifts working if you live in the neighborhood. A lot of you do, I think. Making pickles, making sauerkraut. Sauerkraut tanks is what you see right here. Is it an art? Yeah, it absolutely is. I think they're beautiful. I think they're fabulous. I think the labels, they're funky labels, but everybody knows our labels. Yeah, should they be redesigned? What do you guys think? I don't know. I don't know, but look at that. Look at that. The red beets, the color, the sauerkraut, little pickles. Look at those little pickles. Beautiful. The bread and butter chips, sliced pickles, spicy pickles, salads. There's still a few things missing up here, but red cabbage, one of them. Fermented pickles, sour dills. We have the kosher dills in big buckets that the delis use. And Oktoberfest sauerkraut. We have a lot of that. Anyhow, I don't know. I think it's artsy. I think it's pretty.
Hello and welcome to the Art of the Cocktail, brought to you by Cherie Creative Company, an event production company. My name is Ruth Grayson and I'm a mixologist. I'm going to teach you how to make 2 delicious cocktails to enjoy during this virtual art walk. Now, Frogtown is known for its community, and one of the ways that we see that is when neighbors share their abundance with each other. They grow all types of things in their backyard, and especially in the summer, it's citrus. So to celebrate that, we're doing a citrus-forward cocktail. We're going to be using this fantastic Hair of the Dog vodka. Now, this is a local company, it's organic, and they give a % of their sales to help animals, both wildlife and domestic. We thought that would be a perfect complement to this event celebrating community and sharing. Our first cocktail is the Frogtown Fizz. This is a standard fizz, and we're making it, like I said, with the Hair of the Dog vodka. So we're going to be doing 1.5 ounces of that. Into the shaker it goes. Then we're going to be doing 1 ounce of lemon juice. Now, if you like it a little more tart, you can add more than that. If you like it less, then you can do less. Then we're going to do 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, just a little bit to help out that lemon juice. And now for the really interesting ingredient. We're going to be using aqua faba, which is a vegan alternative to egg whites. If you have egg whites at home or eggs, you can definitely use the white from 1 egg, but instead we're going to use this vegan alternative. What is it? Well, it is the liquid that comes out of the can of garbanzo beans. So just open a can of chickpeas, pour the liquid into a bowl or mason jar. You can use the chickpeas for your lunch or your dinner, so it's a no waste cocktail going on here. So we're only going to use 2 tablespoons, which is 1/2 ounce, which is this top part of this jigger. All right, in it goes. All right. And if you make a mess, don't worry about it. All right, now the trick is we're going to do a dry shake first. So that means no ice is going in there for the first part of the shake. Here we go. We're gonna give it a good shake, about 15 seconds. And like I said, this is a great vegan alternative. You can use the rest of it to make a vegan pavlova or something with anything with egg whites that you would normally do. All right. Now we're gonna add in some ice and give it another shake. That'll give it a nice chill vibe on this warm day. Whoop. Now, if you want to enjoy this over ice, you can. It can also be served straight up. I'm gonna go for some ice because it's warm out here. And I think that'll help cool me off a little bit. All right. All right, now here we go. See how nice and creamy and foamy that is? We're not done yet. We're gonna add 1 more ingredient just to give it that extra fizz, and that is club soda. I'd say about that much, and you see it makes it nice and foam up. And lastly, to garnish, I'm just gonna do a little zest of lemon right on top. You can do a lemon twist if you wanna get fancy, but I really like zest because it has that zesty feel. Cheers to the community of Frogtown.
Hello, welcome. I'm Pat, Pat's Woodworks, here in the old Elysian Valley, part of the Elysian Valley Arts Collective. Welcome to the shop on this art walk. I want to take a look around and show you what I've got going down here. Here's a couple of gentlemen here, Mike Pacheco and Craig Casey, both very good friends of mine and accomplished percussionists. And I give you a little taste of what the drums sound like. I might beat along with a couple of sticks here. Ooh.
Welcome to Frogtown Brewery. We're here at 2931 Gilroy Street. Hopefully some of you have come and checked us out in the past. I know we've been a part of, I think, 3 of the art walks. We've been in business for about 4 years, and in this kind of strange time, we're here coming up on another anniversary in October. And usually we would have a really big party and we'd close the street down and we'd have everybody out. But, you know, the times are strange. So this will be, you know, one of these things like we may have to do something just like what the Art Walk is doing, where we're all virtual, which is fine. At least we can all have beers and enjoy beers together.
Hey everyone, this is Gustavo Rojas, one of the partners here at Frogtown Brewery. Thank you for joining us at the Frogtown Artwalk. Again, we've been with the organization and the event for about 4 years now. As Mike alluded to earlier, we've been part of it from the very beginning of our inception here in the neighborhood. And part of our growth continues to be with the association and the neighborhood. And our last step, or latest step, is opening up what will be a beer garden in the near future.
All right, welcome to Frogtown Brewery's brew house. So this is where all of the magic happens at Frogtown Brewery. So we are up on our brew deck right now. Standing behind me are 4 tanks. So let me walk you through them really quick. So on my left-hand side, it's called the hot liquor tank. That's where we heat up all the water that we're gonna be brewing the beer with for the day. Once that hot water is hot, we bring it over and put it in this tank. We mill all of our grain. It comes across to this auger and then drops down in this tank, mixes with the hot water, and we start the mash process. This is our mash tun. So the beer will be in here for approximately 60 minutes or so, depending on what we're making. And at that time, it's actually not called beer yet. It's called wort still. So what we'll do with this wort is we'll drain it off of here. There's a fine filter in the bottom of this tank. And we'll filter that beer or wort over into this tank. And this is our boil kettle. So the boil kettle is where we're gonna bring all that wort up to a boil and add in the hops. So the hops give that beer that bitterness and the flavor, the aroma, all of those citrus notes that you taste in IPAs, those all come from the hops. Once we're done boiling, we'll transfer it into the fourth and final tank over there. And that's our whirlpool. So in there, we'll spin the beer around very rapidly. All of the sediment will collect to the bottom. We'll add additional hops in there for aroma if the recipe calls for it. Once it's done, we'll then transfer it to one of these tanks, passing through our plate chiller. So we'll bring that boiling liquid through our plate chiller, and it comes out around 65, 68 degrees. And we'll transfer it over here to one of our fermentation tanks. The fermentation tanks are where we add the last step to add the yeast. And so we'll ferment it in there for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the recipe. Once it's done in those tanks, we'll chill it down with our glycol system down to 34 degrees or so, and move it over into our bright tank, which is a tank right behind these. And that bright tank is where we add all the carbonation to the beer. And so the carbonation is where we get that bubbly flavor in the beer, otherwise it would taste flat and kind of stale. So we carbonate the beer in the bright tank. Once it's fully carbonated after a day or two, we then will package it out either into cans, kegs, or right on draft into serving it through our tasting room here at the brewery. Hopefully we'll all be allowed to do that again soon. Thanks.
Cheers.
I first met Lewis McAdams many years ago when I was a graduate student from Australia, and I had decided to research the Los Angeles River, and I volunteered at Fallout to try and find my way on a visit from Australia, just a quick research trip. I had no idea what I was doing, and I had little idea who I was, but Lewis became a friend, and for many years until his passing, I was so fortunate to be his friend, his mentee, and to learn so much about the river. I want to read one of the pieces that I love most from his corpus. For years, I thought I was going to find the old man of the river, a guru, who knew everything there was to know about it. He was going to draw me a map. Then I'd know what to do with the information that was written in my soul. I never found him until I caught my reflection in a puddle of rainwater. It was me, all along, bushy brows, balding skull, worried eyes, in awe of 8 egrets as they lift into the evening, pink light bathing their breasts, then turn northeast into the clouds, gathering above Mount Washington. Rest in peace, Lewis McAdams.
My name is Milton Jurado, and I am, they call me Maja. I am from Ecuador, South America, and I'm a mazapan artist. The dough is made with glue, wood glue. There's different types of wood glue that makes it harder and makes it more durable, and other ones that are more breakable. The dough is a mixture of glue and bread and preservative. So then I color it with oil paints, and I kneel until it's very playable. And the fact that I like bread dough better than other doughs that are out. They sell artificial doughs that dry harder. I don't know exactly the name, but there is a lot of new materials that you can do. First is the color is not as bright as the colors that I use, and second, it's easier to work with the hands because it does not stick to your fingers and you can do really small details. The type of work that I do is like this sample here, which is a heart with flowers. The flowers are hibiscus flowers, and I use corn, which is very Native American, and this is a good example of love towards nature and corn that is been feeding us for thousands of years. Here's another piece, another heart. I usually do this for Mother's Day. I use canna lilies with hibiscus flowers and roses and the flames of the love of the heart. We have different hearts with different compositions, different flowers, all of these I can teach you how to create the flowers and the hearts. The hearts, after I make them, they are like that, and then they are glued to pieces of wood that are also recycled wood, and I make them useful again. The back of these hearts have I use a lid of a soda, so I can recycle that too.
Hi, my name's Chris Rodriguez, and I'm a member of the Arts Collective. I have been quilting since I was 4 years, or I've been sewing since I was 4 years old, and I've been quilting since I was 16. And so I'd like to introduce you and welcome you to my quilt show. This piece is, I call Starry Night, and it's Homer Hickam. I worked for the City of Burbank Library, and that was our All City Reads book, and so in honor of that book, I went ahead and did this. This is an example of foundation piecing. What you do is you use a tissue paper, and then you keep applying fabric to that. Okay. In here, this is a traditional windows quilt, and on the back wall is my piece for Frogtown Artwalk's 2016. I try to do a river quilt every year, and so that's my representation of the LA River. It's got about 100 frogs and ducks appliqued to it. So one very traditional quilt block that everybody would recognize is that's called a 9-patch, and that's what you think about with traditional quilting. Well, what you do with a 9-patch is that you cut it apart, and then you cut it into quarters, and there's several different ways you can assemble it, so that if you look at the beach quilt long enough, you can see how I've assembled the quarters. The picture down here is from the 2018 Art Walk, when we were down at the corner of Newell and Blake. We were able to hang them in the garden. Finally, this last piece down here, it's my version of the sun. So I want to thank you for stopping by the quilt show today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the Art Walk this year.
The voice of the river is a red-winged blackbird, twittering in the trash bags, festooned across the branches of cottonwood like prayer flags. The freeways are louder than the river. The I-5, the 110, the LB overwhelm the river and its tributaries with their roar. But when the tributaries bring their gifts of rainwater to the main stem, the river can be louder than the thunder rolling out of the San Gabriels. The voice of the river is the golf balls clanking in the power towers, and the kids on their bicycles laughing as they spot the mud people moving along the sandbars in silent meditation. I hear the river singing through the passing railroad cars, the screeching metal as a Metrolink commuter train tears apart. News choppers circling overhead, the howling ambulance sirens, followed by the coyote pack's howl. The high-pitched chi and the endless meetings, always one or two more, the laptops clicking, the TMDLs, the BMPs, the RFPs, the SSOs and the UAAs, the murmuring bureaucrats, the sharp whack of gavels, the deep voice of command, the swooping bats, and the swallows and swifts. I listen for them to make my own hearing more acute. The scream of a fish hawk, the flapping of 100 pigeons, and the rock droves too scatter in fear. A great blue heron's sorrowful honk, the trill and ripple of water. At the center of itself, the river is silence, and that's where I come in, with the sounds in my head and the words in my heart.
Hey everybody, my name is John De Castro. I'm a visual fine artist based here in Los Angeles. Here we have some paintings that I just did for the Virtual Frogtown Artwalk. I'm really excited to be a part of it. Thank you guys for having me. So a little bit about me. I'm a queer visual artist. A lot of my work is deeply rooted in my Filipino-American heritage. These paintings are kind of more so about celebrating Filipino-American History Month. The original works were in an art show called Tuloy Po Kayo, and it's saying please come in, and I just wanted to celebrate Filipino culture here and just talk about the importance of like us migrating here and really making a staple here in America. But I really just wanted to talk about my interest in like geeky stuff. So what you kind of see here is like a fictitious mythical landscape. It's kind of made up about pre-colonized Philippines. And that's generally like what some of my art talks about. A lot of my work, I generally work on paper. It's usually paint on paper, ink on paper. A lot of the things that inspire me is kind of like the inner child in me, or like my childhood, kind of talking about how I used to play video games with my family a lot, with my mom and with my kuya. And kuya means brother. But we would just play like old retro games like Super Nintendo and like role-playing games, and that kind of comes through a little bit through my work. But it's just what makes me happy. It's what I find comfort in. If you're an inspiring artist or an emerging artist, I would encourage you to keep creating every day.
Hello everybody, my name is Cain Carillas and I'm a puppeteer. And this is my little friend, El Triste. But yeah, my first job was actually at the Bob Baker Marionette Theater, which it was located right here in Echo Park, close to downtown. So, you know, after spending so much time of doing puppets, you know, and things like that, when it came to building a puppet, it's actually really, really expensive. It might not look expensive, but it goes into like a really high price. And eventually every puppet that Bob Baker built, it goes up to like $2,000 plus. So yeah, my next project, I get involved in a lot of little projects, events that I usually hang out with. Well, like I said, El Triste is more like a friend, you know. He's more like a homie, just like a friend that you just hang out, you know, vibe with. He's not really a performer because I didn't build him like that. I kind of build him as a display. But he always gets invited to do shows somehow. So when it comes to doing shows, I usually go into an event and I walk around with him. What inspires me in life? That's actually a really tough question right there. Because eventually, the way that I kind of grew up is kind of hard to even visualize that, you know, because eventually, you know, I grew up in the neighborhood and things like that. So when it comes to inspiration, it will have to come into puppeteering, you know. Every puppeteering, it gives you like so much leverage to do anything you want, particularly, trust me. When it comes to puppeteering, you could do anything you want. Puppeteering, I really encourage you guys to try it.